it's so interesting because I was in my ritual, and crazy things happen during these. It was an ayahuasca ritual, and I've done a few. And this time I worked on my intention of integrating the masculine pillar. I wanted to integrate my power, my impact, my leadership, and money. I wanted to really work on these 4 components. And it's really funny because we're talking about relationship, because this is what came up for me. For me to step, sometimes it's funny, we need to sacrifice something we really love to actually step into what is really meant for us. And for me, it was all about completing the release of a karmic bond. So I had a vision of this person coming to me and telling me that they wanted to be back in my life. So I delusionally texted them yesterday telling them that I wanted them back in my life. And it's really funny because he obviously responded saying that he wasn't available, that he was with someone else, and so on. But for me, it was once again the trigger that I needed to step into my leadership. Many times women are not able to see the heartbreak that they have in their life as a blessing.
All right, welcome to the Naked Earth podcast. Today we have Elena, and she is a feminine business mindset and manifestation coach who integrates her feminine and her masculine to align herself to her natural state of being and in her business. So welcome, Elena, and I'd love to hear where you're calling in from and how is your heart today?
I love the intro. I love the question. So I am calling from Brazil. So the tropical jungle of Brazil, but I'm originally Italian. My soul, though, is Brazilian. We're talking about like feminine and masculine. I also think it's important when we talk about like identities. There is our spiritual identity and then our more like blood related identity. So for me, blood is Italy and soul is Brazil. And my heart today is very fulfilled. I just did a plant medicine ritual 2 days ago that completed the integration of that masculine pillar that I'm going to be talking today with you about. So I feel very complete. I won't lie, also a little bit overwhelmed by all of the insights that are coming, because as we know, the integration also requires a lot of insights and making sure that they don't stay up in the air, but that they become grounded and tangible. And I really love this about this work.
Yeah, very, very well said. Needs a lot of spaciousness and some silence and time with yourself to feel into that. And appreciate you
Yeah.
bringing that energy here today.
Thank you. I appreciate you bringing this topic. It's actually so relevant, It's like we've manifested it.
Absolutely. I had a ping and I was like, I need to do a podcast. And then all of a sudden, all of these beautiful people started showing up that are super in a line and yourself included. So I'm really excited to hear your story today and get into it.
I love it.
Yeah, I'd love to start with, let's talk about your business because that's how I found you. And I'd love if you could share a bit about what it is that you do, who you are, and kind of how you started to step into this role in your business.
Absolutely. Let's start with that. So I am a business coach, a business like spiritual coach, feminine business coach. And I really focus on manifestation because for me, everything is about manifestation. For me, everything is about aligning your energy with the outcome that you truly desire. And for me, manifestations only work when you're truly aligned with your heart's desire. Because I see so many coaches, for example, they make so much money, but they do not generally care about the people. And this has repercussions because the impact that they is not as great as it could be if they actually really tapped into their heart's calling. So this is why I really focus on manifestation, and that's why I put it in the title. But I do not only do manifestation and mindset and emotional healing work. I also really focus on the strategy. That's the masculine pillar of my own business. And it all started with me really tapping into everything that had to do with the more like healing, energetic embodiment side. So really helping women step into the confidence, step into the sensuality, step into the magnetism. And now what I've done recently is also integrate all of that strategic component, because the moment you have the feminine and the masculine, the flow and the structure, the trust and the systems, that's when things actually start to click. So I realized that it was not enough to focus on the feminine. It was super important to integrate the masculine. So this is what I've done. So I guess this summarizes pretty well what I do and also how it all started.
Yeah, more people are going to realize that this is important work and that we can't access and step into our fullest potential without integrating the both. So I'm curious what that spark was for you and what that moment was where you started to realize that it was more than just the feminine energy for you, especially being in business.
Yes, absolutely. I guess that I made this transition pretty recently, a few months ago, and it all comes down to a breakup. It all comes down to me tapping into self love and sometimes manifesting what is required for us to move into the direction that we're going towards through hard experiences. I'm a Scorpio at my core, so I die and rebirth myself all the time, but I'm also Sagittarius, so I can always see the beauty of the learning and the lesson. So going back to business, what happened is that I realized that my lack of the masculine pillar was really related to a lack of self-love at its core, because self-love means me being my own pillar, me being my safe space. Whereas when we're always looking for somebody to provide for us, in my case, like men to provide that safe space for me, that is the moment that I'm not actually building the structure for me to sustain myself financially and like personally, emotionally, and of course, I cannot build a solid foundation externally if I do not embody that within myself first. So for me, it was all about stepping into strategy a few months ago because of this breakup with this man that in Italian we would say, I removed the slices of ham from my eyes. I'm vegetarian, but this is the expression. You basically remove those layers, that veil that is covering you from seeing reality, how people are treating you. And once again, spirituality is not in the big actions, it's in the small actions, it's in the everyday actions. So that's a moment that I realized that I wanted to be a structured place for myself and for women, and not only focus on confidence and embodying and sensuality, which is how I attract people. I also want them to stay in my world, and that's possible only when I've built a structure for them to hold them, you know?
Yeah. Wow. You're on it. You're really on it. You really got it clicked. So what was it about the breakup that like
Yeah.
how did you make the connection to
Yeah.
because other people may just be going through a breakup and saying like, "Oh man, okay, now it's time to find another one." You know,
Yes.
what was that realization and how did you come to that knowing?
Yeah, so it all started in Thailand, I guess, and I was in my feminine. So it's really interesting because we go through phases, I think. Sometimes we go through extremes and then we integrate. So I used to live in Australia previously, and it was all about the masculine because I was in this big corporate job like marketing strategy. I've always been into the masculine. Let's start from there. I think we need to start the story from there. But it wasn't the sacred masculine, what I like to call the healthy sacred masculine, that safe structure. It was that forced, the burnt out, the hustle culture, the money that feels dirty, not the money that feels sexy, you know. So it was all about that. So I had a complete rejection of the masculine, I think subconsciously, when I started going on a beautiful journey trip while I was also like working, but I was really in my feminine. I was flowing and things were happening to me, like manifesting money just out of the blue, like really tapping into the energetic current, you know, of the feminine, the flow. But I realized that I was also attracting men that were never safe spaces for me. I was attracting them because I was into my magnetism, but they were not safe spaces for me. I was over the safe space for them. I was always holding the structure for them by canceling myself. So it all started with realizing the pattern of the relationships that I was getting into. I'm not sure if you resonate with this
Yeah,
story.
absolutely. I think this I'm just thinking in my head right now just how impactful this could be for so many women out there right now. You know, I could think of the list of people that I know that could really use this message and how healing it could be.
Yes, because there are so many women that outsource their power to men. And there is nothing wrong with wanting a man to provide for you. I'm in this phase where I know that I'm a safe space for myself, so I know I can attract a man that is a divine love. But at that point, I was looking for somebody to hold me when I couldn't hold myself. And of course, I only attracted people that mirrored my energy. There was an energy of lack, an energy of not being fully authentic, an energy of me always wanting to be sexy and not allowing the fact that the rage is sexy, the tears are sexy, like me suffering is sexy, you know, because
Yes.
it's linked to my sensuality, to my feelings, and there is nothing wrong with that. And this is also a big focus of my business. I turn rage, I turn pain into power of spreading your message, spreading your medicine, and of course also generate money through that. So
Mhm.
I turn pain into money. That's what I do.
The ultimate alchemization of the
The
human
ultimate.
experience.
Exactly, exactly. And for men, I mean, you, of course, you've gone also like through your own transition, but I'm curious to know what you think about this pattern of women always chasing emotionally unavailable men. Why do you think it happens so often?
Interesting question. I think coming from and growing up in the United States, there's a very strong, what's the word? Almost need and push onto people that started in the 1940s and 50s. They call it the nuclear family, where industrialization was happening and the men were out working and they made the women stay at home. And it was this shift, after World War II. And I just see this pattern playing out where there's this expectation, especially in women, where they're forced to be quiet, only men matter, the
True.
feminine isn't valuable. I don't believe this, but this is the stories, that I grew up with, that women were only valuable for children and caretaking. And if they wanted to go get a job, they could only go be a nurse or a teacher.
Yeah.
And there's this resurgence, and I don't know if that's the right word, but this transformation happening now in our time, where the last two generations, women kind of started to have to get jobs, but then they started stepping into this masculine, like you were saying in Australia, where you had to be grinding and working and,
Yes.
and then they totally lost touch with the feminine. So I think kind of through that, where then they started to work very, very hard and lost touch with the feminine. Now they're going swinging totally the other way and
Yeah.
going back to that feminine. And
And
they're
it's so
not
interesting.
realizing that there's a space in the middle where, like, I really think if women want to be the stay at home, the take caring of the children, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's
No,
beautiful if that's what they truly desire. I think it's
absolutely.
just what comes down to what's truly in your heart and what lights you up and living in your purpose. And for some people, that may look like starting a business and traveling the world and being very independent. And some people that may look like, you know what? I don't have a passion. I don't wanna work. I just wanna stay at home, and I love children. I wanna take care of my children, and
Absolutely.
I think that's beautiful, but coming from that heart. So, I don't know if that answered your
No,
question that you
absolutely.
asked, but
And what you said about the rejection of the masculine, that's something I have really witnessed in my own life. And also, I am attracting a lot of women that every time I always run them through a list of questions. And I'm like, what do you think about being disciplined? What do you think about creating like content with a certain structure? And they're like, nah, I don't like that. I don't want that. They're all like rejecting the masculine. They have a complete rejection because honestly, how many examples of healthy masculine have we got out there? Like I would say 2 out of 10, if we're lucky, honestly, of a
Mhm.
man that is able to really also tap into their own fragility, their own vulnerability, and not lose the spark, not lose the fire, because we want the fire. The fire is also part of the feminine. It is what, like, it is a flirtatiousness. It's seducing ourselves, our life, our clients. For me, it's all about this magnetism that I embody and that I also put into my relationships. But for women, I think that now there is tapping into this like flirtatiousness, for example, when it comes to relationships, and not allowing ourselves to be taken care of the way we want, because we also come from we are prejudiced against men. Absolutely.
Mhm.
We tend to generalize because most men that we find are emotionally unavailable. But that's the beauty of manifestation. For you to be able to attract an emotionally available man, you must think that they exist. And it's difficult because we need to be delusional at first. We need to have such trust in the process that against all types of circumstances, all types of proof that we have, we still need to believe. And that's where the trust component is so important. Romantic relationships, life processes, and business. You need to trust because you cannot see it, but you know it exists on the other side. And that's, I guess, still like the beautiful part of the feminine. But going back to what you said about the masculine, most of my clients, they reject the masculine and they come to me because they see that I integrate it without losing the feminine. So this is where they come to me.
Yes, yes. That's so important. You're so brilliant. I'm so happy to be talking to you right now. So brilliant. You're right. And even speaking to the masculine side and how you're saying the emotionally available men, how they have that fire and that fire is that feminine. It's
The
so
fire is the
true.
feminine.
I've
Yeah.
been in so many men's circles where there are good men out there. There are healthy men out there. There are emotionally available men out there. They exist. Absolutely. If you're listening to this and you think that good men don't exist, they absolutely do. And you're right, because it's either one or the other. Because even on the masculine side, they may be available and ready, but then they're finding women who just want them for their paycheck or want to sexually manipulate them and use that sexual energy to get what they want, which is
Yes.
another shadow of the feminine. And so how do you balance that sacred, flirty, passionate, feminine energy and keep it grounded and not let it leak? How do you
Yeah,
do
it's
that?
such an interesting question. I guess that I'm always connected to my why. I cannot get stuff done in this world if I'm flowing and if I'm not thinking as a businesswoman, if that makes sense. And at the same
Absolutely.
time, there is nothing wrong with selling and making money, because the wrong thing would be not selling and not making money. Because if I don't sell and I don't make money, I cannot actually tap into my why. I cannot serve my purpose. I cannot serve my mission, you know? So for me, it's always about knowing that I am embodied. I am a spirit that chose a body. So I need to respect both. I need to respect my spirit, the feminine, the abstract side of things, the fire, but I also need to respect the body that I'm in, that needs food to survive and that wants to have a tangible impact for this world to become a better place. So this is, I guess, the mindset that is behind everything I do. And yeah, it wasn't always the case. I actually got a huge push from the most painful experience of my life, going back to like manifestation. I met this guy and he didn't provide a safe space for me. So I was like, for the first time ever in my life, I am going to be my own pillar. I am done finding men that treat me like a carpet. And it's not like I have so many men, that are interested in me, but normally because of how much magnetism I've got, they're very sexually attracted to me. But not a lot of people can be a safe space for me because of how strong and empowered I am. And I'm in that
Mhm.
phase of looking for men that can be both attracted to my freedom and my magnetism and my strength and not intimidated by it, and that can also
Yeah.
hold me.
Especially when you're in that passionate fire and when you are utilizing that rage, body, man, woman, human, baby, child, race, you need a place to feel safe and significant. And
Yes.
that's, I think, why they call it a significant other. It's
Yes. I
having
love
that
it.
person that can hold you. Very
Yes.
very well said.
And it's so interesting because I was in my ritual and, crazy things happen during these. It was an ayahuasca ritual. And I've done a few. And this time I worked on my intention of integrating the masculine pillar. I wanted to integrate my power, my impact, my leadership, and money. I wanted to really work on these four components. And it's really funny because we're talking about relationship because this is what came up for me. I for me to step, sometimes it's funny, we need to sacrifice something we really love to actually step into what is really meant for us. And for me, it was all about completing the release of a karmic bond. So I had a vision of this person coming to me and telling me that they wanted to be back in my life. So I delusionally texted them yesterday telling them that I wanted them back in my life. And it's really funny because he obviously responded saying that he wasn't available, that he was with someone else, and so on. But for me, it was once again the trigger that I needed to step into my leadership. Because women are not able to see the heartbreak that they have in their life as a blessing. But many times, heartbreak is a blessing because it is leaving space for who you're meant to be. And I work with women that are meant to be leaders. And sometimes for them to step into the leadership, they first need to really let go of the playing small, which many times is related to their relationships, the partners they attract. They need to make space for themselves to hold themselves. And then, only then, they will be able to attract the divine love. Only then. I truly believe that
Mhm.
we first must step into our own leadership, our own masculine, to then be able to attract the divine partner. How was it
Mm.
with you guys? Actually, I'm curious because you look like you have a beautiful, like, divine partnership and it also has a ripple effect on your business. Like, were you able to find one another? Like, what's your story?
Thank you for asking. Yeah, I'm right there with you, having to release to call in. I released so much, before welcoming in my wife, Alina, and we were friends actually for about 2 years, and we met at an ecstatic dance. I actually
Mm,
asked her out at first. I was like, "Wow, like, I really like you. Do you wanna go for coffee?" And
that's so cute.
she wasn't available at the time, so I think that was a blessing because we were able to really be friends. building that friendship and getting to know each other. A situation came by, we were at a festival together, and I hopped in the hammock with her, we held hands, and it
Fire.
happened. Yeah, the fire, and I think she just really saw me and accepted me in the feminine and the masculine, and she didn't expect me to be a certain way or to hold certain things. Like, I was able to just be me,
Yeah.
and she really holds her masculine and her feminine well as well. And,
I love what you're
she
saying
yeah,
about being me because I think that authenticity is only possible when you've integrated both.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think how that shows up in our business, because we now work together, is I'm able to actually be in this more creative, feminine, like, I'm the artist and, like, being in this space of how do I create? And she's actually kind of more the masculine in the business, where she's, like, making sure everything has its folder and everything is organized and everything is scheduled and presented well, and she creates the container for the business
I
in the
love
way
it.
where I can explore and be in the business. But then in our personal life, it's the opposite. She's able to explore and be free in her feminine essence and, like, her emotion and her expression and through her bleeds, and I'm able to hold her in that, and,
I
like,
love it.
I know it's like it's scheduled. When she bleeds, we get the groceries, I have the meals planned, like, it's just like
Wow,
we
what a
we take
power
care of each
couple.
other.
I love it. And this is what it is. I can take care of you the same way you can take care of me. It's not like there is a father, there is a mother. Like both are providers, And the roles can switch. I'm all about role switching. Even in coaching, so many people talk about hierarchies. I'm not in a hierarchy with my client. If my client has something to offer to me because I've manifested the divine love, I'm going to become their client. For me, it's all about like non-hierarchical relationships where there is somebody that is guiding the other, but the relationship can change at any time, and it's fine. That's how we grow as individuals. And so many people are really like blocked in the ego. I guess this is a whole other like topic, but for me, it was so interesting because I really believe that we are meant to be like safe spaces one for the other, and the roles can be swapped at any point. And this is the beauty of flexibility, the beauty of adapting to a woman's cycle or even to a man's cycle. I don't believe only now it's so popular to talk about like women's cycles, and personally I don't feel that connected emotionally to my own cycle, so I don't think I can be creative at any point. I even sometimes find it repressive to say that women are not creative when they are in their winter phase. No, I can be creative.
It's all
Like,
the time.
yeah, exactly. So for
It's
me
more like
it's
the
like
energy.
labels. Yeah, it's the energy,
Yeah.
but men too go through phases, I think.
Mhm.
Once again, I believe that the integration of the feminine within the masculine is also realizing that men have emotions. Men have got moments where they need to rest more than be productive. Men maybe don't even need the 9 to 5. It's not only a feminine thing to ditch that lifestyle that is so structured.
Definitely comes back to what feels right, what's authentic to you. Some people really
Yes,
love that 9 to 5, waking up 5
yes,
AM every single day, having that solar cycle, the 24-hour where they, have the spring in the morning, summer in the high noon, and going through that versus,
exactly.
the 28 day. And some men may be more moon influenced and be
Yes.
in that without actually
Yes.
bleeding.
People that really love the structure. I love the structure now because I realize how important it is. But I know that like when I create content or stories, my masculine is so incredibly integrated that I can turn an idea and inspiration into me selling through my story, for example. I don't even need to make an effort. It's part of me. So I put the inspiration and I put it into my translator when it comes to the language that I'm speaking. I go from my flowy feminine language into the soulmate client's language very seamlessly.
Wow, that's interesting. I'm curious how this work shows up for you. You mentioned right now you're currently living in Brazil, you're from Italy, you've traveled all around the world. What's
Yeah.
been your experience as a digital nomad traveling around the world? Because every single
Yeah.
country has different expectations of man, woman,
Yeah.
all of these things on the outside. So, what's been your experience with that traveling around?
All right. When it comes to men and women, I haven't had any difficult situations in the sense that, of course, there are places like Brazil, for example, where you as a woman feel more vulnerable and unsafe than a place like Southeast Asia because the people here are so much more like sexual, I would say. Like literally, they are, there is a different culture that is very much linked to the dance, the carnival. Like there is that fire in the air. And this is what I like. I love the fire in the air. For me, Southeast Asia has never been a full fit because it is missing that fire. It is more like spiritual. It is more like and this is also related to the feminine. There is the flowy spiritual feminine and the fiery feminine. I'm all about the fiery feminine. I'm not a very Zen person. Even my meditations, I need to dance in my meditations. I cannot stay still. So for me, I'm very attracted to that side of the world, this side of the world, Costa Rica, South American, and so on. And for me, what really moved the needle when it comes to my traveling experience is that masculine pillar. Once again, going back to the masculine. I remember that the first trip I did, solo trip 2 years ago, it wasn't good and I felt very lonely, but I started to accept that I loved gosh, there is my dog that is in the background that is crying, weeping. She wants my cuddles, but I cannot give her cuddles right now. Anyways, so for me, it's all about self-love because I was in my own structure at the time when I really started that journey. But now, because I absolutely love my own company and I am completely fulfilled by my work, I can spend 2 weeks by myself and I'm in peace, And it's the most beautiful feeling ever of not needing someone, but simply knowing that you're going to welcome into your life what is feeling like a full body yes and not what is lacking,
Yeah. That because you have that purpose now.
Yes, I have a
Yeah.
purpose.
How did you find that purpose? Because for people listening who may be struggling to say, I don't feel like I have a purpose. I don't know what to do
Yeah.
with my life. I feel like I'm just going through the motions. Like, what would you tell them?
First of all, you need to find space to listen to yourself because so many times we're living on autopilot, aren't we? So we have our 9 to 5, we're doing the groceries, we're going to the gym, we're getting back, we are doing our skincare routine and going to bed and boom, 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 again, again, again. You need to stop, you need to find a moment and you need to remove the noise. So many times I see people going and doing social activities and they never spend a minute just by themselves. Like start journaling, start going to a natural place and just breathe. The moment you ground yourself is the moment you start finding clarity. But once again, you need to remove whatever is not aligned little by little and find space for things that are truly aligned with your heart's desire. Otherwise, your body's always going to speak, right? You're going to know that you're misaligned because you're going to get anxiety. In my case, I somatized. I vomited in my previous job. So your body's always going to speak, but you need to listen to it.
Mm, dropping
What do you
the
think
wisdom.
about it?
100%.
How did you
Absolutely.
do it when you needed to find clarity? How was the process for you? Because we all go from, I think, confused and conditioned to actually finding the clarity.
Yeah, for me, it feels a little different because I feel like I've had clarity since I was a kid. Since I was a kid, I knew exactly that I wanted to be an entrepreneur and an artist, and I was going to stop at nothing until that happens. I
That's
was
crazy.
having a business at 13, 14 years old on Etsy, making $1,000 a month. And here I am 28 and being able to travel the world doing so I've always had passion. I've always had purpose. I never feel like I had to find it.
You never went through a phase of complete misalignment in your life?
I mean, as a teenager, but that was more my gender journey where I was like, it doesn't really feel right to live this life
That's still a
outwardly presenting as a
transition,
woman.
huge
Right.
transition.
So I guess if I were to speak in that way, less about like business purpose and more like internal authentic
It's
expression
all the
purpose.
same. It's the same.
Yeah, I think I still knew it as a kid. I was 5 years old running around with my t-shirt off playing basketball with my brothers and I was like, "No, I'm a little boy." It just was what it was, and so what was the hardest thing was up against, parents and family and school who was trying to tell me I had to be something else. And I was very fiery as a kid, very passionate, very
So strong.
rebellious. Yeah,
Incredible.
very rebellious. You're not gonna tell me who I am, what to do. You're not gonna force me into like, always. So,
You've got a
yeah,
gift because most
yeah.
people are not like that because there
That's why I
are like
ask you that question.
hierarchies. Yeah, for me,
Mhm.
I come from a family that is like free spirited. Like we do the ayahuasca ceremonies together. This can give you an idea of the kind of family I've got. And they're the
Mhm.
ones that chose Brazil. And I'm sure that my soul chose this family because we're going to Brazil. I think Brazil is really what links us as a family. This is why this place is so sacred. Even though my parents are split, they still come here together and we kind of recreate the family nucleus in this place. But basically, for me, yeah, even though I had parents that supported me, of course because of their fears, they projected their fears onto me. So I think that there is also a process of forgiving people and being grateful for people. And this is the Sagittarius in me speaking once again, like turning pain into power, like, and into gratitude as well. I really go through this process with my clients sometimes when I integrate the emotional and energetic healing of freeing yourself from the responsibility and the pain of other people, and really turning the pain that you have felt in your life and the suffering and the disappointments and the self-abandoning into superpower, because it's a gift. You could not see the light if you didn't know what the darkness is. It's the same with you in your business. Like, if you hadn't had that 9 to 5 that was draining your soul, you wouldn't have the determination to go after your dreams so boldly and know that you're gonna do anything, saving, not traveling for a while. Like, you're gonna make it happen because your freedom is at stake. So I
Absolutely.
guess that for me and for most people out there, I want to encourage them to think of everything that is painful and difficult and that feels like a hurdle as actually an opportunity for growth. And not only an opportunity for it, but for something that our soul has been manifesting. Like, I want to take it even a step further and put in the spiritual component of manifestation, because I wouldn't be here with my business and traveling the world if I had not had the strategic tools that I acquired in that other job that I hated. So I am so blessed to have had that experience because it's gifted me in so many ways. So manifestations are not only about the final outcome. It's all about the little intermediary steps that you're walking before you actually get where you're at.
Wow. Yes. Yeah.
I talk a lot. I'm Italian.
True. No, I love it. I love it. My wife and I, we actually lived in Florence for 3 months
Yeah.
this last winter, and for me, the way you speak about Brazil is how I feel about Italy. Like, it just feels
Really?
like this grounded. Maybe it's just the artist in me, being around like
Yes.
the
Florence is
art and the
also pretty
architecture.
chill.
Very chill. I
It's not like
loved it.
Milan. The vibe is very different, for example.
I have not been to Milan yet, but Florence, like the middle of Italy is where it's at for me.
We talked about how you need to go through difficult experiences sometimes to find the clarity. This is the focus of what I talked about.
Yes, yes, to find the clarity, going through the hardship to find the clarity. What would you say to somebody who maybe they're on this journey and they're trying hard to push back against the people that are telling them to be a certain way, but they feel this deep desire? Like, how can somebody find that fire within them? Because for you, it comes so naturally. You're in it. Even for me too, this like passion, we're in it. It's natural. For somebody that may be a bit more watery, a bit more calm, doesn't want to push too much, how do they stay in their passion and their purpose without being swayed?
This is a very interesting question, because I would say that most people that I attract are very similar to me. They hit rock bottom, or they are at the point of hitting rock bottom, and they are ready to take all of that frustration and suffering and anger, and they're ready to turn it into beauty and medicine for the world. So I think it's a little bit difficult for me to answer this kind of questions, because more like calmer types of people, I think that they need to step into the fire. Because I really think so. I think that anger in this society and frustration is seen as something to be repressed, but I think it's something absolutely needed. We need to wake our eyes up. I think this is what society does to keep us caged. They keep us in a state of apathy. I think that's why so many people are watery, because they don't let themselves feel the hard stuff, but this prevents them from feeling the good stuff. I live everything intensely, and every single beautiful emotion is like multiplied by 1,000 for me. Of course, every person is different, but I think that many times not allowing ourselves to feel what needs to be felt is a safety mechanism to keep us in our comfort zone, right? So there are going to be those like self-sabotaging thoughts of like, oh, when that, the intuition comes, you're like, no, but this is not for me. Like, this is too difficult. I cannot do it. Listen to that, and listen to the uncomfortable truth that it's bringing into your life. Like now that I'm working, of course, with clients, in the first stages, they're all about understanding the resistance that is within themselves and listening to it. Because I've taken the leap of working with me, they know they cannot stay in that previous identity. I'm taking them onto a whole new identity. I do quantum leaps. I take them onto a whole new identity in like 1 to 2 months. But this is uncomfortable. And I think so many people that are actually in that apathy or low intensity when it comes to their life, they are not allowing themselves to feel what needs to be felt for them to take the leap. That's my own take on this.
Not allowing themselves to feel what they need to feel to be able to take that leap. That's huge. Our emotions and our feelings guide the way. We're not identified them and we're not consumed by them, but they show us what needs to be felt in
And it's
order to move
uncomfortable,
through.
it's painful, but it's so much more painful to live a life where you're half alive. I love like Sadhguru because he always talks about people living like half alive. And I really think that so many people are a bit zombie-like, and it's not something triggering that I want to use because I was zombie-like too, like having a coffee every single morning and rushing to work and then going back home. This is for me an autopilot type of life, and some people might be happy about it, and that's not the people, right, that we're speaking to. We're speaking to people that are more freedom seekers, I would think. So for those people, I would say really accept that there you need to face your shadows to actually see the light. If you stay in like a gray tunnel, you're never gonna see the full light. So it's okay to dive into the shadow, and this is what really ayahuasca is all about. For example, ayahuasca is made of 2 vines, and one is about doing the shadow, the other one is about bringing you up. So you're never going to be stuck in the shadow work. This is the beauty of the work. You're always going to come out on the other side of the tunnel if you do decide to do the shadow work all the time. It might take a month, it might take a year, but you're going to get out of it so much more aligned, so much stronger, so much happier. It's easy? No, it's not easy.
It's not easy. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful point to know. It's like, even from my own experience, even the darkest points of my life, there was always something better on the other side. And especially too, it's like when you're right on the brink of really breaking through and having that, door open, it's usually when it's the hardest, and that's where you gotta just stick it
Keep
out.
keep having faith. And this is where the faith
Faith.
component, for me,
Yeah.
another huge driver of my determination is my spirituality. I simply know that things will unfold the way they are supposed to unfold, and even the hardships, they're part of my soul curriculum. We cannot have like an easy life 100%. There are people that have easier lives than others, but for me, it's all part of the process, and there are always little nudges. Something I encourage people to do is also open your eyes onto the little nudge. You might want to attract like a divine partner. Start recognizing that somebody made a beautiful compliment for you and said that you looked beautiful when you actually thought you were a mess. That's already a small nudge from the universe that you're becoming worthy of attracting somebody that sees your beauty and your imperfection. Most people disregard these little nudges because they have their own stories that are so ingrained, so they're not even able to see what is out there that is actually giving them signs that they're on the right path. So for me, it's all about accepting that you're not okay and having faith that things will be better and taking action. The action is the masculine. You need to take action. You cannot just accept that you're not feeling well. Of course, there is a period where you might be more introspective. It's totally acceptable, but then take action little by little, step by step.
Yeah. What's the journey that you can you share a little bit about when you take on a client and who may be kind of in this space? What's the journey that you take them on? And how did
Yeah.
you discover your process?
Yeah. So the journey I take the dawn is from a good girl CEO to a wild woman CEO. So once again, you can see in the words there is the feminine, the wild, and there is the CEO, the masculine. So I'm already telling them that I am gonna integrate both in our work. So what I do is the moment they decide to join my mastermind, I help them understand what's their situation in terms of the blockages that they feel, for example. For me, it's super important to run a discovery session. And this is what most business coaches, I think, do wrong. They do not pay attention. They do not listen to the person, to the way they're feeling, to the way they are thinking, and to the resistance patterns that they've got. Because I cannot be a safe space for these people unless I understand them. And it's so incredibly interesting. There is a client of mine that she actually worked with another coach previously. And she did a whole 6 months mastermind with a coach. And the coach is amazing. She was really redirecting her to niching down. But she had not understood that this woman was rejecting the masculine. So she was not actually able to niche down, because for her, niching down meant losing herself. It meant losing her flow. It meant losing her authenticity. So what I've done with her is really first run her through some healing for her to unblock the door of the masculine so that she could find the words. So many women cannot find the words to define even the offering in a way that is not like woo-woo and abstract, because they are scared of tapping into their own potential, of making that become a reality. So I need to make sure that they trust themselves enough to know that they can do it, that they are freaking wild women CEOs and not like good girls. So they need to stop shrinking. They need to stop dimming their voice. And they need to become manifestors. So they need to really accept that there is a quantum leap. Your internal reality will shape the external reality, not the other way around. So I really train them to think like millionaires and to
Yes.
think like influencers when they have 100 followers. That's what I do.
That I think that right there, can you speak a bit on that it's internal cause, external effect. Everything goes from
Yes.
within to without. How did you learn that?
Let's say that I quantum leaped into business coaching and I manifested 5 clients in less than a month since I started my business coaching. And that for me was a proof that I was incredible at identity shifts and quantum leaps. But I guess that I've always done it. Some people call it fake it till you make it, but for me, it's not that. Fake it till you make it is what most people do online, where they don't master the embodiment part. They say, oh, you should stop shrinking. That way you will become free. But then they're like this with their body. They are like whispering, and they do not put their face. They do not talk on camera. What kind of dissociation are you creating between the outcome that you are portraying and the energy that you're embodying? So I'm all about embodiment. So this is like the moment you come on my profile, you see right away that I embody what I say. Same with you. I come to your profile, I see that you've done the work. I see that it's not only in the mind, I see it's part of your heart. I see it's part of who you are. So it's all about embodiment once again. And the moment you decide that this is how it's going to be, the universe has no other choice but to adapt itself. But for me, the key is adapting to your heart's true desire. And I think that's what most people miss, in the sense that most people will chase money for the sake of money, but not understand that money is energy and it needs to be connected, I think, really like to your why for it to be something beautiful for the world and for it to multiply itself through the energy of abundance. So I guess that for me, the embodiment part is connect to your why. Once you have connected to your why, accept this is who you're meant to be, even though it's absolutely scary. And I take my clients on a journey of living in the future. I'm delusional, but that's what I do. I always tell them, I want you to take your own clients to a destination that you have not achieved yet. Because by the moment that you are at step 2 of the transformation you're offering them, you're going to be so much more embodied in that new version of you. Right now, you're not yet, but you need to think of the future. You need to think of where in the transformation journey you offer, you're going to be at that stage of the destination. So for example, I'm going to give you a concrete example to make it easier. There are some women that have not manifested a divine love partner yet. But the requirement for you to manifest the divine love is for you to be your pillar, for you to be like in love with yourself, to be a mirror for that reality, right? So what they can do is they are in the process right now of becoming a mirror of that reality. They're not fully a mirror. Otherwise, they would already have manifested the divine love in their life. But I push them to the edge and I say, you're going to help women really become the mirror of this divine love, because by helping them, you're going to be healing your own wounds and you're going to be approaching that outcome so much faster than you would have if you had just let them come to the point you're at right now. So in that sense, I make them live in the future. I project them into a future that does not exist yet, but that is bound to exist.
Absolutely. It's bound to exist when you live it now, when you embody it now. So
Yes.
what do you think somebody could do today to start living in the future and living in their dream?
I would say convince yourself that it's possible. Go every single morning and get excited about that reality and live it in the little moments. For example, somebody is chasing freedom. They might not have the money to live in Bali, but they can create freedom in their routine. They can create pieces of that puzzle. They can really insert pieces of that puzzle. For me, it's all about convincing your brain. I mean, it's scientifically proved that the moment you convince your brain of something, it will make it feel safe for you to go after it. If you're not convinced, it will sabotage it, right? Because it feels like a threat. So you need to convince yourself through tangible things. You want a divine partner? Create a solo date for yourself. Let your brain and your system know that you are super sensual, romantic, and that you are full of love in your life. So it's about the little acts. So this is something that everyone can do. Infuse your life with more freedom, go on a walk, be in a park, do a meditation. You want to have a divine partner, do a solo date where you're taking yourself out on a dinner, maybe spending some money on yourself without anyone else, and so on and so forth. Or even create connections, create opportunities. You know, people are always willing to help. So ask
Yeah.
for advice. Don't listen to the people that don't have your life. That's another big one, because we normally listen to the
Yeah.
people that don't have our life and we think they're gonna lead us there. I'm like, what?
No way. No way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you
That's
tell
great
them?
advice. Great advice. Honestly, the same thing. Live it. Live it now. Wake up every day. For me, I miss Italy so much. I love living in Italy. And so every morning I make my little cappuccino and
So cute.
I
Yes.
just like shake my,
You have the
whatever.
cappuccino machine?
No, I put some milk in a jar and I shake it. See it? It is
But you're
not actually a
delusional enough that
cappuccino.
you're living in Italy. I
Yes.
love it. It's
Yes.
big.
And I sit on the
Another big
porch and I
one.
live it. Yeah.
Another big one is be a kid. Kids believe they can become astronauts. And if they kept the same energy of delusional belief, they might become astronauts. I believe that most astronauts out there, they must be delusional. They're going to the moon. I'm like, wow. And they're adults doing that, you know? So
If they
if
can
you know,
believe they're going to go to the moon, you can believe
yeah,
that you can find your divine partner.
yes. Or that you can have a business. Come on. They're going to the moon. Like literally, there are people doing all crazy sorts of things. And when it's possible for them, really also don't see people that have made it as a source of comparison. See it as a source of inspiration. This is another
That's a
big
big
one. But
one.
for me, another huge one is play. I infuse play with everything I do. Even my course, it's so sexy and it's so like metaphors and images. And it's like I want to make my clients laugh when they work with me. Because the moment you allow yourself to play, you allow yourself to make mistakes. Most people are stuck in a perfectionism loop where they think they need to get it right since the very first like action that they take. And it's also because we tend to hide our mistakes. When I have the perfect Instagram feed, I remove all the stuff that is noise, right? Because that's already an outdated version of me. But that means you don't see the messy middle. You only see the outcome, but there was a huge messy middle. So accept that there is a messy middle, accept that you need to take messy middle action. That's important. And accept that it's actually fun to make mistakes. The more mistakes you make, the faster you understand what works and what doesn't. This is every
Yeah.
entrepreneur allows themselves to A/B test all the time. And A/B testing is nothing but being a kid that is connected to the energy of play. So this is a huge one in my own coaching program. And that's how I really quantum lead my girls very quickly into
Yes.
success.
There was a study once I read, and it was saying that if you wanted to teach somebody something, you would have to repeat that thing like something crazy, like 30 times. But if you were in a state of play, you only had to repeat it 3 times. And so
Yeah.
it's like even through that play, your brain is making these new connections so much faster because you're having fun, you're in light. And like to be in that play is to be in your heart. To be in that
Yes.
perfection is to be
I
in
love
your
it.
mind.
Exactly. You need to
And your
connect to the
mind
heart
is
once
not,
again.
yeah, your mind does not lead the way. Your heart leads the way. It's instead of leaning and living life forward like this, it's living life a little lean back and a little,
Yeah.
a little bit more surrender instead of bulldozing your way through it.
Surrender is a huge one. It's the energy of trust. It's the energy of play. It's the energy of being present in the now. Because normally when we are in our head, we are either in our past or in our future. And that does not allow us to build our life in the now. Whereas when you're connected to the heart and the play, you are activating other parts of the brain, and you are also more creative, more innovative, more intuitive. And the moment that you have the masculine structure in place, once again, this is more like business related, not necessarily like for people like finding their own path. But I would say that the moment you have that masculine structure in place and you're allowing yourself to play, you are also being more creative and unique. And I really believe that we are going towards a moment in time where people's superpowers will be their authenticity. And this is why I really don't believe in competition, because there is no one else in the world that is like you and that does things like you. So for me, every single person has the opportunity to become a free human doing what they love and turning their experiences, for the coaches especially, but not only the coaches, for you, your experiences might be what has led you to start your own jewelry business. I'm actually curious to know about your jewelry business. I used to have a jewelry business as well that is very much linked to my heart, but I would love to know more about what prompted you into going in this direction. Is this linked in any way to what we've been discussing?
Maybe. I mean, I've always made jewelry. I started as a wood carver. I was a wood carver since I was a little kid, always carving things, carving necklaces out of wood. And then I spent 5 years as a Native American flute maker, and I was making these instruments, and that business was really well. However, I started to develop chronic pain in my hands from working with my hands every day, all day since I was a kid. And so I had to find something where I could still share my love of sculpture without, making everything and giving in that pain. So I think, that is something I'm still working through, is that I love making sculptures one by one, but also I have this dream of bridging people. And this is this phase for myself. And I think this is where this podcast is coming in, is I've always been this like spider web, like connecting people and drawing out their passions. Like, what is it? What's your magic? And wanting to uplift people's magic and also bridging them together through these symbols that I've created. And for example, I'm wearing this one. This is like the serpent rose. And this one is all about this like feminine power, this snake and serpent that lives inside of us through our root up to our crown and through this rose that is our heart. And so now
Yes, I
I'm in
love
this
it.
phase of like designing these symbols through meditation, through silence, through this connection that I have with spirit. And my dream is to bridge people around the world and creating these symbols so that when somebody sees, oh, you're wearing that symbol, you are a wild woman. You are free. I see you. Or another symbol like my hummingbird with the ancestors, like, okay, you are somebody deeply connected to your ancestors, and almost creating these badges or symbolisms, because we're in a time where people really need connection and need a bit of structure. And I
Yes.
think of like World War II. In World War II, people wore the badges. They wore their uniforms
Yeah.
and they were physically in war. And right now, I feel like we're kind of in a spiritual war, of
Yes.
light
There's
and
a
darkness.
general awakening. I can feel it. Everybody's awakening
Yeah.
right now. Not everyone, but so many
Yeah,
people.
absolutely. I want to give people almost this armor of like, this is the life I'm choosing, and like recognizing it. So
I love it.
I
It's
want
so
I want to
powerful.
connect people through that.
Yes, and the beauty of work in this new age is you can put every single ounce of your personality into it. Like you're a jewelry maker, and now you're creating a podcast, and then you're gonna be able to bridge people through podcast jewelry making, and who knows, maybe ecstatic dance at some point. That's the beauty of like creating a personal brand, and that's what people feel attracted to, because power of authenticity. Once again, we get to be all of it, and it's really crazy and beautiful, because yesterday I was at this ceremony, and for the first time, I decided to step into my leader position in front of everyone. So I was in front of the fire with the medicine inside my body, and I was not scared of being myself, all of myself. I can be a leader, I can be a bridge, and I can be authentic. And there's so much spiritual bypassing in the coaching communities of people just wanting to sell. And even the people that look spiritual, so many times that do not allow themselves to be fully authentic in their business and think that they need to resort to like making people salivate all the time with their offers. And I can create clickbait types of content, and I do, but I'm also moving into a direction of I want to be an authentic business coach that sells, but that is also connected to my medicine fully. And going back to this ritual, I was in front of the fire. So many people were like around me. It was like I was in the middle. I was taking up my space. I was the only one standing up when everybody was sitting. Like I was claiming my space and my role. And I was letting myself be seen in all possible ways, when I was crying, when I was angry, when I was surprised, when I was childlike, when I was powerful. And I think that's also the beauty that we're bringing into building businesses that feel authentic, because people resonate with us wanting to connect to them through our vulnerability and through our stories, but not in a way that is embellished, in a way that is raw.
Yes,
So
yeah.
many
You're
things.
stepping into it. You're living it. I really feel this from you too. And if anybody's listening and curious, please follow Elena. And I just really see that from you. And, I have so many coaches and people on my feed that I could have interviewed. And I felt
I'm so
this
grateful.
authenticity from you, truly. And I could feel there was something different. So
I'm so
I'm really
grateful.
grateful that you came here today.
Yeah, me too. I'm really grateful that you offered. And yeah, I think we are going to innovate business. I think this does not exist yet. Like I go into so many business coaches and they still segment themselves. They still niche down in a way that is not authentic. Whereas I think that we can let all of our sides of ourselves shine into business. And this is what differentiates new business from traditional business. In my previous job, we had that small talk 2 minutes where we talk about each other's dogs, but we don't care at all about each other's dogs, The moment you go in there, it feels forced, but it shouldn't feel forced, like to have a casual interaction with people. Absolutely. And I really felt that in your energy too. So you also managed to really put all of yourself in your work. And it's so inspiring for me to see that.
Thank you. I do my best. Social media can be so hard, but I see that what you're talking about. It's like that authenticity. And like every time that I choose to put the camera on and go within in that sacred space that I've kept private for so long, that's the one that people resonate the most with. I'm like,
Yes.
part of me is like, oh, I love having my sacred space and I don't want to monetize the sacredness yet.
Interesting.
Yet that's where the magic is. And that's where the acceptance can come in of like, okay, I see this is what's coming through. It feels a little challenging, but I know that my mission and my purpose and my why is so much greater than this shyness of wanting to keep my power and my connection private, because that's not what I'm here to do.
No, and this is the thing. Why would we be given this power if we just keep it silent? Like this power is within us for it to have a ripple effect and for other people to step into their power through us. That's how I see it. That's why I always find myself fascinated by women that have stepped into their power and never triggered in a way that makes me want to shrink. And it's interesting what you said about money, of like, why would I want to monetize my stories? I think that that's the beauty of what we need to monetize. For me, it's all about money is sacred. Money is a sacred energetic exchange for your medicine. So I've really come to the conclusion that there's two types of money. And before I used to feel resistance about talking about money, but now it's the easiest topic of my life because I love what I do and I generate money through what I do. But before I was working like in freelancing jobs or things that did not feel like they resonated with who I truly am and what I truly care about. And that money felt heavy. It felt dirty. It felt disgusting. It felt forced. It felt survival. It felt like I needed that money. Now, and the energy of that money was repulsive. Now that I make money with things I love, it's sexy. It's the same force for me as being turned on. Like it's the same exact energy. It's the energy of abundance. It's the energy of joy. It's the energy of beauty. And for me, once again, if people pay me to share my magic, this means that more people will have access to it. So actually, it would be horrible. It would be something absolutely disconnected from my purpose not to monetize. And I think so many
Mm,
people have this ingrained idea that money makes us evil. But no, money is the source of our freedom. So it's
yeah.
absolutely necessary that we heal our money wounds. And so many people actually don't let themselves shine because they have a self-worth issue that is also a money wound. They don't let themselves receive in love because they have a money wound, because they don't let themselves receive in work. It's all interconnected.
Totally. That is a huge, huge wound. Like I grew up in pretty
Everyone
poor.
has it. I would say
Yeah.
99% of people have that wound.
Yeah, it's very difficult. Growing up in poverty and like my parents just, working daily regular jobs. And I just knew I was like, there's so much more to this. And once I started making money through making art, I was like, you know what? There's another way out here, and my wife actually really helped me through that too, and through some of the stories and like how I can expand even more and even more, because I was getting to the point where I was making money through my art, but it was always just enough.
Mm.
It was never that, like freedom.
Why is
Just
that? What
with
was missing, in your opinion, in that stage of life when it comes to your work and the way you were working? Also, feminine, masculine. Like, what was the imbalance there?
Yeah, it was really this shame that I didn't want to. There was almost this like solidarity in my family that was like, we struggle, we survive, we like get through this. And I was like, okay, I can make money through my art, but I'm still gonna struggle and I'm still gonna survive. And it was like this pride. And then I think when I moved
This
away from
pride
my
and this
family,
guilt. There is guilt.
yeah,
Feel like you owe
absolutely.
them, right?
Yeah.
You owe to survive and not thrive because that's going to make them feel smaller than you. That's
Yeah,
what we all go
exactly.
through. I've gone through the same.
It's especially being a digital nomad and traveling, and it's like people are always like, "How? What? How is it?" It's we are free. If anything as human beings, we have the power and of choice, and that
Yes.
choice is what can change our lives or keep us the same.
Yes, absolutely. I studied sociology, I studied economics, I studied business. So I'm absolutely aware of differences between people. And I was in Bali some time ago and I met a guy that runs multiple businesses and he's had the hardest experiences of his life. But once again, for him, that was the biggest blessing because he saw exactly the life that he didn't want to have. And of course, he had to probably fight 10 times as hard as somebody that had the privilege. So I'm not saying it's the same, like different steps of the ladder, right? So I think that people that grow up in poverty will need to work 10 times, 3 times as harder as somebody that has more income, but at the same time, they have more incentive to get out of that life because they know how much it hurts to be in that life. So I think that
Mhm.
once again, there is always a blessing in the shadow, and it's a matter of perspective all the time. You decide how to interpret your reality. You have so many bits of information coming into your brain, and you only integrate a few because you interpret the reality. So you decide what bits of information come into your reality that you want to pay attention to and what other bits of information you want to remove,
The power of choice.
the power of choice, again, the power of choice. And I really believe the power of choice and the power of the heart and the power of giving. I'm a big fan of giving. And it's funny because I started my business as like a jewelry business. So I had my full-time job. And there was a moment where I thought that I needed to tap into my creativity again. So I created a jewelry business that was called 1,000 Whispers
That's so beautiful.
in Sydney. And thank you. And why is it called 1,000 Whispers? Because I created a special whisper for every piece of jewelry that was empowering for women. So I was already stepping into my role as a leader, as a guide. And I was the best selling at the markets, even though I had never sold anything in my life, simply because I went there feeling abundant. I had my full-time job. I didn't need that extra money. It was for pleasure. So I went there, I chit-chatted about our cultures. I gave them little manifestation cards at the beginning of the year for them to have a beautiful year. I gave them a little gift at the end, and people bought so many times and they came back because they thought I cared about them. And so many times we care about the followers, we care about the money, we care about the outcome, and in the end we sell less and nobody is really happy with that outcome. The moment you connect to the heart and you trust the process, abundance will come. I think this is an important message for everyone that hears.
Mm.
You need to trust, but the moment that you tap into your heart's desire, the universe will conspire for it to become a reality because you've done the most courageous act that you could possibly do, which is listening to your truth. And you're going
Mhm.
to be rewarded for that.
You're dropping the wisdom here. All right,
Yeah. Maybe they won't
let's
buy
wrap.
from me after I've shared all of
No, no.
this. Maybe I should have
I
shared
think
less.
even
I'm kidding.
more. I think even
I'm
more.
kidding. I'm kidding.
So I,
Yeah.
I end every podcast with this question. If you imagine yourself as a ripple in time and you think 7 generations ahead, what is that message in your ripple that you would want to leave for the 7 generations after you?
Yes. I guess for me, it's about authenticity. I would say that your only job in this world is be yourself fully, be yourself in your imperfection, and trusting that things will unfold the way they need to unfold if you accept yourself fully and accept that It's not always going to be easy, but you're always going to be directed where your heart wants to go if you truly listen to yourself.
Mm.
I guess this is my final word, because I feel like so many people don't allow themselves to be who they are, and it breaks my heart. Breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the only gift that we have in this life that is certain is who we truly are.
Yeah, yeah. And it feels woo
Beautiful.
woo, right? It sounds woo woo, but actually it's not woo woo at all. Most people live a reality of not being themselves. And it shows
Mhm.
up in the way the current state of our society is. So for me, this world will heal the moment the individuals heal. So this is why it's so important for me, the work I do, because of, I think, the ripple effect it will have in healing the world.
Thank you
And
for
for
the work
me,
that you
it's
do.
business. And one last thing, for me, it's business because I want people to build a world physically with the bricks that are coming from the heart and not from the mind and the power. So this is why I've chosen business, because business
Mm.
is like building a castle, building an empire that is made out of love and not out of fear. So this is why I've chosen business. And this is how it connects to this ripple effect that I want to have.
Yeah, I would love a part two where we can dive into the business because I agree. I think more entrepreneurs and business owners have more capability of making impact and change in the world than any politician ever could.
Yes, imagine if Elon Musk was using his own like power to really lead from the heart, not from the mind. Yeah, this is why I really want to become a leader in what I do, because the moment you increase your potential, right, and you serve people at a higher level, the bigger the ripple effect on society. So this is why I really see myself.
100%.
I don't, of course, now I'm like helping like entrepreneurs, smaller entrepreneurs, and I love that. But I do see myself wanting to have greater and greater impact as I grow my business.
And you will. You're holding it. Your spirit sees you and is like nurturing you and you're on this
Yes,
path because
yes.
just even from this conversation with you, I can tell that you're meant to make big impact in this world. And I'm so grateful I got to meet you today and share in this conversation.
I'm so grateful got to meet you today. Also, like you're already doing amazing things, but I also do feel that you are gonna step into a big leadership role more and more.
Yeah,
I feel
I
that
feel that
calling
too.
with you, and you, I feel like you are capable of doing it. You're ready to do it, and you must do it because it's your calling.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Elena.
Thank you
And
so much.
where can everybody find you? And
They can find
what's
me
your
on my
offering?
Yeah, they can find me on my Instagram. Wild Woman CEO should be pretty easy to find. I'm the only one with this Instagram handle. And basically, they can just DM me, and I offer a 9 weeks program at the time that is called the Wild Woman CEO Codes, where I help any kind of entrepreneur, both smaller and bigger entrepreneurs, really craft a program and a course that they sell to clients in a way that feels authentic, to power authenticity. And I will quantum leap all of you guys into the identity that you really want to embody and to project into the world, not in a way that feels fake, in a way that feels authentic, once again, very quickly.
Beautiful. I believe you. And anybody, definitely reach out to Elena and step more into your power. Thank you again
Yes,
for being here with me today and on to the next great things.
thank you. It was lovely to speak to you. Thank you for the
Absolutely.
opportunity.
My pleasure.